Lesson 51 Use Form Status. 1. Introduction to the context. In modern React development, handling forms has evolved significantly. Traditionally, to detect when a form was being submitted or processed, developers relied on local state, custom logic, or external libraries. With the latest version of React DOM, a new native mechanism appears to simplify this control, the useFormStatus hook. 2. What useFormStatus is and what it provides. useFormStatus is a hook that provides information about the status of the most recent form submission. When a user submits a form, useFormStatus allows you to know whether that submission is currently in progress, for example, reflecting a pending or loading state, and it gives access to the data being submitted, the HTTP method being used, GET, or POST, and the function or action associated with the form. With this, interface components can dynamically adapt based on that status, disabling buttons while the submission is being processed, showing loading indicators, or even showing provisional data until the operation finishes. 3. When and how to use it. Rules and conditions. useFormStatus must be called from a component that is inside a form. If it is called outside of a form, its pending value will always be false and no useful data will be available. The hook does not require any parameters. You simply call it and receive an object with the properties mentioned: pending, data, method, and action. The information it provides corresponds only to the closest parent form. If there are nested or multiple forms, the hook will track only the immediate form context. 4. Advantages and improvements over traditional approaches. Using useFormStatus brings several improvements compared to the manual state approach. It avoids the need to create multiple states to control loading, send data, errors, and so on, reducing complexity. It allows presentation components, buttons, loading indicators, messages, to be designed independently from the form, without passing state down as props, which is especially useful when working with reusable components or UI libraries. It improves the user experience. You can disable the submit button while the form is processing, prevent simultaneous repeated submissions, visually inform the user that the submission is in progress, or display the submitted data before completion. 5. Limitations and points to consider. If the component calling the hook is not inside a form, you will not get any useful state. If the form and the hook are defined in the same component without separating the button or control into a child component, the pending value will likely never become true. The hook is designed to be used from a child component. In some environments, for example, with certain UI libraries that implement their own input logic, there may be compatibility issues that prevent useFormStatus from correctly detecting the submission state. 6. When it is useful to use useFormStatus, and when it is not. It is useful to use useFormStatus when you are building forms with asynchronous submissions or server-based actions. You want to simplify form state management, such as loading, submitted data, and method, without prop drilling or manual state. You want reusable and independent components, such as buttons or UI controls that react to submission state without needing props from the parent form. It may not be recommended if you are not using a standard form element, or you are using a form library that abstracts the form in a way that is incompatible. You prefer more customized validation, state, or error logic where manual handling is clearer or required. The form has an unusual structure: nested forms, external components, inputs with custom behavior, that prevents the hook from detecting submission status. 7. Conclusion and recommended best practices. useFormStatus represents an interesting step forward in the evolution of React. It provides a native, integrated, and simplified way to control form submission state. It helps improve user experience, produce cleaner code, reduce boilerplate, and maintain reusable and independent components. To make the most of it, it is important to follow its intended model. Use standard form elements, call the hook from child components, and consider potential incompatibilities with external UI libraries. Therefore, when designing forms in React, especially using the new capabilities of actions and server-client rendering, useFormStatus can be a valuable tool for increasing robustness and maintainability.